Thank you all. Welcome to the May 9th, 2017 meeting of the Hendersonville Board of Mayor and Aldermen. David Jenkins is the head pastor at Cross Life Church here in Hendersonville. And David, I'd like you to come up here and lead us in an opening prayer, please. Thank you.
Let's bow. Lord, we come before you tonight with praise and thanksgiving in our hearts, and we thank you for the wonderful city of Hendersonville, and we thank you for all of the great citizens. And Lord, tonight I pray that you would guide our board member aldermen, as they deliberate. I pray that you would let there be a spirit of civility, a spirit of vision, and I pray, Lord, that you'd give wisdom to our mayor tonight. And I ask, Lord, that you would just be in this room and that your presence would be with us ever present. We ask these things in your mighty name. Amen.
David, thank you. And again, that's David Jenkins with Cross Life Church. And please join me in the pledge now. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. We need to accept the agenda, but first I need to offer a couple changes. I would like to add under committee reports, actually the first one will be John Bradley to get us an update on a lawsuit that we're involved in. We do not need executive session to do that. And then last one, and then the last one also, a report from our Golf Course Commission and from our Historic Zoning Committee. And also I would like to acknowledge that item under ordinances and resolutions, item B, that was tabled. And typically the terminology we use is referred or withdrawn or deferred for a certain amount of time. But because we had a motion to table and it was voted on as a motion to table, I can't just add it to the agenda. I need a majority vote to take it off the table and add it to the agenda. I'd entertain that now.
Mayor, I would move that, I was the one that tabled it, so I would second Alderman Frost.
Okay.
Move to bring it back.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to bring this item off the table and put it on tonight's agenda. And again, we're just right now voting on item B for it to be on the agenda. Item B under ordinances and resolutions. Any discussion on that? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Okay, now I would... I appreciate that. Any other ones? I appreciate that. We have a motion to make the changes that I just brought up and a second.
I'll call a question on the motion on the amendment.
Is anybody opposed to call a question of this motion? All those in favor of approving the, all those in favor of accepting this amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there any who's opposed, please say no. Okay, now we have a question on the main motion for the agenda as amended with two amendments. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. We have an agenda. Okay. First thing under presentations, we have a check presentation from the Tennessee United Soccer Club to Mary's Magical Place. Could you all come on up here? Tennessee United has been involved in Hendersonville soccer for 2 decades. Before that, Hendersonville Soccer League, Hendersonville Soccer Club, done wonderful things in our community, and typically hold 2 invitational tournaments in the city of Hendersonville, and to the point that it's grown so much we've had to use some outside fields. But even better than that, they raise money for Mary's Magical Place, and we very much appreciate that. We have Tiffany Ferguson and Rachel McCauley. And the guy in the red shirt is Jamie Bertotti, and he is the, what's your title as far as tournaments go?
President.
Okay, and they're going to present a check here to Mary's Magical Place. We appreciate that. It's for $1,000. How much is it for?
Yeah, it's for $1,250.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And now what I'd like is for Tiffany and Rachel to tell us a little bit how all of us can help without it costing us a dime.
Okay, so we just have 3 more days to vote. It's I have the website. You're going to go to act.usa.com, and we are up for a nationwide donation from them. It's where we could receive one of two $50,000 or one $100,000, and it is just votes. We have no idea how we're doing, but everywhere we go, people tell us they're voting. So we are just asking for votes. So if you could please, if you can even just go to marysmagicalplace.org, there's a link that says vote now. But if you set it up, it'll send you a little link into your email box, and every day you can just click on that one link and it'll take you right there to vote. So ask everybody that you know to vote. We would love that.
Okay, now I want Rachel to tell us a little bit more about Mary's Magical Place.
Well, we're really excited because it's going to be an all-inclusive playground for everybody, including those in wheelchairs. 3 pieces of equipment. The kid can stay in their wheelchair and be included in play with other children. Also, adults are going to be able to come. Veterans, we hope, will come to Veterans Park. So not only will this be for children, but parents and grandparents that maybe have a walker or wheelchair, they can come out and watch and sit, and it'll be about 11,000 square feet, we hope. And we have really done our homework. Every week we meet on Tuesdays around 1 o'clock, and our meetings last about 2 hours or more. We do public speaking everywhere. A lot of clubs have stepped up. We're trying to keep up with everybody wanting to do for us that we're trying. We're just as fast as we can get them on Facebook. We have furniture store wanting to give up % of their furniture and mattresses. And so it's just been overwhelming. And I cannot thank everybody of this community. I'm sorry.
Listen, we're at $470,000 so far. So,
Yeah.
it's happening.
Mary's birthday would be May 24th, and we're going to stop fundraising October 31st. So we're going to go beyond 500,000. We know we're going to reach it, but we want to give the city the best, most high-quality playground that you've ever seen, and we hope that we're going to be top in the country, one of the top in the country, so that all children can play together and have a good time. So thank you. Yes, thank you. Can we get a picture?
I guess in front of all these people. Are we okay to be right here? Sure. Wherever you want to be. Wherever you want to be. I got my son's shirt on. I realize I'm putting the bag in. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Where's Chip? Thank you all very much. Y'all, Mary's Magical Place is going to be the type of place that people travel in from far away to visit. And it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Next is a proclamation from me about National Public Works Week. I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, do proclaim May 21st through 27th, 2017 as National Public Works Week, and call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works services, and to recognize the contributions with public works employees and officials, and to make every day to their health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. This is for Chip. I appreciate very much, and I got to tell y'all, I think about this not often, is when I go home at the end of the day and I didn't get an email about potholes or about litter or about roads. I remember these guys doing their job. A lot of times, the way they do their job is by not being noticed, and I very much appreciate Chip. Thanks. You want to say anything? Okay. Thanks, Chip. In addition to Public Works Week, we also have Building Safety Month. Where's Steve? There we go. Steve, I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, do hereby proclaim this month of May 2017 as Building Safety Month. Accordingly, I encourage our citizens to join with the communities in participation of Building Safety Month. And Steve just brought up, just not 15 minutes ago, that his staff, and one of the things that that he's recently had to wrestle with is that he had a longtime staff member that had to leave, and he's replaced that person. And I mean, you don't even know that we've had some hurdles in the past couple months because they've continued to do a great job as far as building safety. You want to add anything? No. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Steve. I'd like not just Chief Miller, but all the guys in blue back there to come forward. I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, do proclaim May 15th, Police Memorial Day, and call upon all citizens of this community to honor and show our sincere appreciation for the police officers in the city by deed, remark, and attitude, and express their thanks to our police officers who are willing to sacrifice their lives, if necessary, to guard our loved ones, property, and government against all those who would violate the law, and further request that all flags in City of Hendersonville be flown at half-staff on May 15th, honoring Police Memorial Day. This holds a special place for Hendersonville, unfortunately. We've had 4 police officers die in the line of duty. At the same time, what's going on right now across the country is contributing to the fact that we, as well as most police departments, when they have a position open, we don't get as many applicants. And that's a tragedy. We have an exceptional police department. We have exceptional police officers and exceptional police department staff as well. And I very much appreciate y'all. Now, I'm not going to give you the opportunity to walk away without saying anything, because I want you to tell us about Memorial Day activities coming up next week. Okay, Chief Miller, thank you.
Thank you. As you know, every year we have a police memorial service. This year, as in the past, it's going to be at Hendersonville Church of Christ, 6 o'clock Monday night. And these officers would really appreciate if any of y'all could be there, or anybody out there in the public, to show support, not only for the officers that are here now, but for the families of the 4 officers who died in the line of duty. So thank you very much for this, and if you can be there, we'd really appreciate it.
I need my agenda. A couple weeks ago at the Hendersonville Horizons regular meeting, we had a presentation from the Beach DECA Club, a couple students that was just astounding, and it's very helpful for me to understand. Daryl's seen it, I think a couple other people have seen it, helped us understand sort of where the city is and what some folks expect down the road. Eddie, can you tell us a little bit more? This is Eddie Robertson. He is the chairman of Hendersonville Horizons, and can you introduce? Okay, go ahead.
I will. Thank you, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. My name is Eddie Robertson. I've lived in Hendersonville since 1988, and I was elected by the steering committee as chair. Just briefly, I don't see any other members, but Regina Bartlett is a member, Kathleen Hawkins, Matt Dawson, Dr. Charles Lee, Frank Pinson, Brenda Payne is vice chair, Gina Scott, and Alderman Woodcock. We have had, I think, approximately 9 meetings, and we are making great progress toward coming up with some strategic objectives and goals to present to you to consider for the future. And as we do, I would like to go over 3 categories. The presentation you'll hear tonight breaks down the questions that we sent to the public, and we had over 1,000 responses from members of the public. They will deal with the live category, the work and play. And now the live category mainly deals with the social environment of Hendersonville. And this will attempt to identify changes that may affect our city and actions we may need to take to ensure the quality of life of our city remains strong and healthy going forward. The work category mainly deals with what does the city need to do to attract and retain a strong business environment. And the key word in this is jobs. The last category is the play category, and this investigates recreational and cultural needs of our city And the key word here that this category will look at is to make Hendersonville a healthier place to live. So after the survey, actually before the survey, Dr. Lee recommended that the DECA Club in our high schools work with the Hendersonville Horizons. So they have worked tirelessly, and they're here tonight to give a presentation. I want to personally thank Chase Moore. Chase is the over the DECA program at Beach High School, and his students. And after their presentation, I really feel good about our future generation that's getting ready to take the city, I think, by storm. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Chase, and he will introduce the students that will give a summary or analysis of the survey that was done.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you.
First off, I want to thank Mr. Robertson and the Hendersonville Horizons Committee. I mean, it's a great opportunity for our students to learn in this environment. You know, within the 4 rooms of the classroom, you can only get through so much learning, but projects like this, which we're lucky to have several of these projects over the last 5 years or so, really help our students kind of grow both inside and outside of the classroom. So we really appreciate it. One of the first things they did when they approached us back in the fall was, when we talked about the whole project, was number one, we need a logo to kind of represent Hendersonville Horizons and kind of this live, work, play theme. So you'll see here on the slide, I got with Mr. Albert Roberts. He's a digital design teacher at Beach High School, and we had a design contest in one of his classes. So every student created a logo. We took all those logos to the committee, and this was the selected logo chosen by the Hendersonville Horizons Committee. So we appreciate his help in that, and this was drawn by Paige Hagee, who's a senior at Beach High School. Here in a minute, you'll get to meet 3 of my students. Only have for a few more days. They're all 3 seniors, unfortunately. They're outstanding students, as you'll know here in a minute. I've got Will Garrett. He's a senior who is going to Tennessee Knoxville to major in finance in the fall. He's our DECA president. I've got Amelia Smith, our DECA vice president. She'll be heading to Belmont in the fall, and she'll be studying pre-med with a focus on neuroscience after that. Then my final student here is our DECA secretary. She's also a senior, Brooke Millspa, and she's going to UTC to major in business management and French. So you know right there we got 3 outstanding students here. So when they came to us in the fall, one of the first things we talked about, they had the survey already created. And so number one was we had to put that survey in an online format because we felt that having it online would be the best way to get the most responses from the city. So the first thing was put it in a Google form, which we did online, and then we had to make a website for the survey. Now, it had to have a home page, which included the survey. It had an About Us page, which talked about the committee members and what their involvement was. It had a page about contact info where Hendersonville residents could be on a subcommittee to help in the future for Hendersonville Horizons. And so that was beyond any of our expertise, honestly. So as a Beats grad myself, I got with a fellow Beats grad from 01, who's my brother-in-law, actually, Ryan Dunlap. He works for Red Pepper in Nashville. And he created the website. He's hosting the website. So his help was obviously very much appreciated as well. And we purchased the domain name, which is HendersonvilleHorizons.org. So that way it was easy for residents to know where to go because that name was tied together with the survey and the website address. And then finally, we promoted the survey. So after getting the website up and running and kind of testing it for a month or so, we promoted it through our own school, and then I met with marketing teachers at Hendersonville High School, which was Christy Brown and Lisa Ball, and also at Merrill Hyde Magnet, which was Angela Lewis. So all 3 of those teachers were instrumental in kind of getting these surveys filled out all throughout Hendersonville. So now let's get to the results. So I'm going to hit just the demographic info, which is the first couple slides, and then the students are going to take over after that. So the first thing was we had, as Mr. Robertson said, over 1,000 responses. So later you're going to hear some numbers. They're all going back to these 1,000 responses we had, or approximately 1,000 responses. And you'll see there, over 40% were in that age group of 41 to 59, with the other 3 age groups pretty evenly distributed, honestly, with the most people being that 41 to 59 age group. And then location you see there. Now, one of the things we talked about in the committee meeting was that they were supposed to check all that apply. So I think to live in Hendersonville is a pretty accurate number. But obviously, if you live in Hendersonville, then you're also in Sumner County, so that number should have been higher. But the first number is pretty good. We feel good about that. So living in Hendersonville, 88% is probably a good number. And then the last slide here for me about demographic information talks about how long the residents have lived in Hendersonville. Now, this is a good slide because it shows that 72% respondents, or almost 3/4, have lived here more than 6 years, which tells me that they've got a pretty good grasp on what's happening in our city, which is, I thought, was kind of a good deal. So now, first up, I'll hand it off to Will here, who will start talking about responses for individual questions.
So our first question was asking respondents to rank their thoughts on a series of the following items. Their options were from very positive to somewhat negative, and very negative. Our most positive responses were quality of life, with 1,037 responses being either very positive or somewhat positive, followed by community-oriented and a good place to raise children, and safety. The most negative responses were traffic management and flow, with 833 responses being somewhat negative or very negative, road conditions with 640 responses, and flood and drainage issues with 534 responses.
In the work aspect of this survey, the most positive responses were networking opportunities like the Chamber and Civics Club with 859 positive responses, followed by available office space and the rate of retail growth. Then the most negative responses were the Old Town redevelopment with 613 negative responses, and then followed by lakefront commercial development.
And as for the play aspect on rating their thoughts, the majority of the responses were positive. These are listed as all 4 of the choices, and lake access was at the highest with 949, and lakefront recreational development was the lowest with 667.
Our next question was, why do you choose to live in Hendersonville? The options for this question were very important, somewhat important, not very important, and not applicable. The most important responses were of low crime rate, with 785 very important responses, followed by quality of schools and sense of community. The least important responses was job opportunities, with 180 not very important responses, followed by church worship opportunities with 164, and that respondents grew up in Hendersonville with 127 responses.
In the the work aspect, the most important responses were the proximity to the Nashville area, with 506 people responding positively to that one, followed by a job opportunity. And then the least important responses, these are significantly higher than the least important responses. And so the rate of retail growth was the least important, with 259 responses, and that's followed by the rate of business growth.
And as for the play aspect and why they chose to live in Hendersonville, all of the responses were pretty close, ranging from 314 to 363 for very important, as well as 155 to 279 for not very important. And these are listed based off of how many people voted it as very important. So dining opportunities is at the highest with 363, followed by recreational opportunities, lake, shopping opportunities, and with entertainment opportunities at the lowest with 314.
So our next question asked respondents to rate the level of service on a series of items. Their options for this were appropriate, increase needed, or decrease needed. The areas where the respondents found most appropriate were fire protection and garbage collection, both with 81%, and local assisted living facilities with 73%. Increase needed, was road maintenance with 75%.
Can we pause for just a second? Okay, go ahead.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Go ahead.
Local transportation with 63%, internet connectivity, street lights, and planning and zoning, all with over 50%.
In the work aspect of the level of service, the majority on both questions recommended an increase of service. So for regional mass transit options, 65% of people would like to see an increase of service, and for economic development, 55% would like to see an increase.
And as for the level of service in the play aspect, for recreational fields and for team sports, 56% of people voted that they should see a level, or that the level of service was appropriate. And then for pedestrian, bike lanes, and trails, 58% of people believe that an increase is necessary in the level of service.
Our next question was asking respondents whether they were willing to support their options being yes or no. Over 70% approval for all of the options except for one in the live category, which was more limb pickup. Options with the highest yes ratings were synchronized traffic lights and widening of selected streets, both with over 90%, and repaving streets more often with 85%.
Keep on going.
In the work category, when people were asked if they were willing to support these things, they were all majority yes responses, with Old Town redevelopment 87%, economic development incentives 82%, regional mass transit to Nashville 74%, Forest Retreat Road interchange 65%, and industrial park and lakefront commercial development with 60 and 59%.
And as for the play aspect and willing to support, majority of the responses were yes as well. Additional greenway and bike trails were at the highest with 81%, followed by lakefront recreational development at 78%, performing arts and community center were at 76%, and then fine arts were at 58%.
Our next section of the survey asked respondents to rank what the city's top priorities should be over the next 10 years. All of the responses shown are responses that ranked these items as 5, being the highest priority. Synchronized traffic lights with 45% rating the highest priority, widening of selected streets with 36%, regional mass transit to Nashville with 29%, recycling programs, Old Town redevelopment, and repaving streets more often, all with 26%, and additional greenway and bike trails with 24%.
Next, we asked them if they would be willing to recommend Hendersonville as a place to live, and this was on a scale from 0 being not likely to 5 being extremely likely. And for 0, 1, and 2, 5% of people were not likely to recommend Hendersonville as a place to live. But as you go up to 3, 4, and 5, people are more and more likely to recommend this as a place to live, with 55% of people being extremely likely to recommend Hendersonville as a place to live.
And at the end of the survey, participants were given the opportunity to provide any other suggestions or thoughts they felt necessary. And we received 201 responses. And we also received 33 individuals submitted contact information to volunteer for a specific task force.
Will and Amelia Brooke, thank you so much. Eddie, do we have any questions? These are the ones with the data. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I just thank you, Mayor. I just want to say one thing. Really, that I really appreciate what you all did in this. It's very important. In fact, it's more important than you realize, and I do appreciate that. But one thing I want to tell the mayor and the board of mayor and aldermen, it kind of gives me a gratification, because the very things, and this, we'll see how to say this politically correct. So, in the day and age that we live in, Mayor and Board, and we watch on news, and we see what's happening all over our country about governing bodies, we're seeing that a lot of people are saying that their government, yes, where they live, is out of touch. But if you look at what your survey told us, those are the very exact things that this board is in touch with their constituency. And that our constituency is you all. And so it proves to me, and it makes me feel really, really good, because we are, as a board and as aldermen, are addressing the very same things that you all, that our public is, or that the public of Hendersonville is saying that is most important. So it's gratifying that I see that, and I just want to, I'm real excited about that. It's, I guess in a way, it's like an approval that what we're doing here as a board is what our constituency are saying. So, Mayor, that's what I want to say that to the board and also to you guys, and how much we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Skidmore. Alderman Brown.
I'd just like, how can I get a copy of that? Can you send it electronically, or?
Yeah, we put it also on the webpage.
It'll be on the webpage.
Yeah, we're in the process of putting the PowerPoint, the actual summary of the results, and the individual results by survey respondent, all three of those, in the next week or two on the survey, on the website. And I will let Mr. Robertson know. HendersonvilleHorizons.org. So, go ahead.
Keith, Eddie.
Free also has copies.
Eddie, over there, please. Thank you.
Keith Free, that is working with us, also has the raw data.
Okay.
And the supporting information that he can provide. Just to let you know, now that we have the results of the survey, our next step is to appoint focus groups for each of these three categories. And those focus groups are going to be citizens of Hendersonville that have a particular expertise. For example, I just got a commitment today, saw him on the golf course, Scott Ramsey. Scott is I think the executive director of the Nashville Sports Council.
Yep.
And he has agreed to serve on the play group. So we'll be working with those focus groups that will come up with strategies that we'll further provide to the public and then eventually provide to you.
And you noted in your surveys, you all had several people, 30-something, that want to be part of those subcommittees. I'm getting emails at mayor@hvtn.org if anybody wants to volunteer to be on a committee, one of the subcommittees. I will pass those on as well. So if you all know anybody or hear of anybody, they can send us an email, and we'll get them hooked up. Yeah, the subcommittees. Tell a little bit about the subcommittees.
Yes, Frank Pinson and I are the liaisons to the play committee. Help me out, Alderman Woodcock. Brenda Payne and Matt is the liaisons for the LIVE, and Gina Scott and Kathleen are the liaisons for the work. So again, there'll be probably 10 to 13 members of each. So if you have suggestions, please refer them to Keith Free, and we'll sure consider them for those working groups. So our intent, Mayor, is to provide you our recommendations.
Appreciate that.
The 1st of August. That's our goal.
Okay.
And so hold our feet to the fire on that. But again, I know that you do, and the steering committee would like to express our appreciation to DECA and Chase and all of the work that they've done. And thank you so much for your efforts. Thank you.
Eddie, thank you for everything you've done. Will and Amelia and Brooke, this is exceptional. We very much appreciate it. Chase, thank you for the leadership on this. Next on our agenda is public hearings. We have none. And then minutes. I'm going to make a motion that we hold off on the minutes. We need to fix something regarding the motion to table. So if y'all are okay, we'll bring the minutes from our previous meeting to our next meeting.
I move to defer voting and approval of minutes.
We have a motion and a deferral for the minutes from 2 weeks ago. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Citizens' comments. Lynn Starks. Oh, sorry, Lynn.
Mr. Bradley, congratulations.
Thank you.
You hadn't done bad for a guy from Clearview.
Thank you, Mr. Starks.
Mr. Mayor and Board Member, my name is Lynn Starks. I live at 1081 Tarpon Drive, Gallatin. Moved there about a year and a half ago. Prior to that, I lived in Hendersonville for 40 years. Was privileged to serve on the Golf Commission for 25 years. Was the chairman for 20 years. Some months ago, some comments were made relative to the operation of the golf course, relative to the management company Raskin. They were not positive. I did not agree with them. And I've wrestled with whether I should come up here and say anything tonight, but decided I would. I'd like to share some information with you that might be somewhat different from what you heard. Country Hills have been open for a little bit over 25 years. Currently, Raskin & Company has been the management company, I think, for about 15 years. Have a budget of about $850,000, average around 24,000 rounds a year, are home to 7 high school golf teams, have between 35 and 40 golf tournaments a year out there. An asset to the city. The course is probably, and I'm prejudiced, probably is better than most of the courses. I say 75% better than most of the courses in Middle Tennessee, especially the city-owned. The Golf Commission each month met with the Vice President of Raskin Company, the Green Superintendent, and the Golf Pro. We sat down and went over the income, went over the expenditures, budget items. If it's over budget, we discussed why it was over budget. We discussed golf rates. We discussed the maintenance of the golf course. If there was problems with the equipment, we discussed that. We also checked with Springfield and Gallatin, since they were the closest competitors, as to how they were doing as far as operation of their golf courses. Did not check every year, but usually every other year we would check. Hendersonville, in 25 years, has received $45,000 from the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. There's a little bit caveat I'll add just in a minute. In Gallatin and Springfield, they pay between $100,000 and $300,000 a year to supplement the operation of that golf course, their golf courses. The caveat, some years ago, we did not approach the board, but the prior finance director came to us and said, rather than you pay interest on golf carts, why don't the city loan you the money and you pay the city back? They've done that. I think this is the third go around that that's been done. It saved the golf course and Raskin Company the interest rate because you let us have it. We paid it back over 3 years. That's been done 3 times, I think, for golf carts. We had a liaison person from the board each year. They attended those meetings, and I'm trying to be nice here. They attend those meetings anywhere from 2 to 4 times a year. We meet 11 times a year, not only in December. We had 2 liaison members while I was on that commission that did not attend the meeting. Probably the average is 4 or 5, 3 or 4. We have not, as a commission, had to come to the city and ask for anything for 25 years. You have a golf course that's a great asset to the city. To hear that there was questions about the operation and question about Raskin was quite disturbing to me, and I take a difference. I do not agree with those comments in any way at all. Going forward, the city of Hendersonville is going to have to get involved in the operation of that golf course. There's capital expenditures out there that have been gone wanting for 25 years.
Mr. Starks, 30 seconds.
You have a irrigation system that's the original. You have a golf clubhouse that's the original. You're going to have to look at replacing that. And I say replacing, there's got to be some work done. But having said that, fellas, you got a great asset. You should be appreciative of what Raskin Company and the Golf Commission has done. We've done it pretty much on our own. I think we should be commended. Since I'm not here and not on it, you knock yourself out if you don't feel that way. Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Starks. Julie Matejko. Ann Kozloff. It's everybody who signed up for citizens' comments. Next, we have committee reports, and I'd like for our city attorney to go ahead first.
Yes, we had discussed in an executive session some months ago a lawsuit that had been filed with respect to a citizen that had fallen on a walking trail that was not the city's walking trail, and ultimately that lawsuit has been dismissed against the city. Paperwork was filed to dismiss that. It can go forward against the other defendants, but not against the city of Hendersonville, so I just wanted you to know that that's been resolved.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Chairman Cunningham, Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. We had the Finance Committee held on April 27th. and all members were present. We went to ordinance 2017-18, amending budget ordinance 2016-10 by appropriating $25,000 to update and rebuild the drainage system at 113 Hepplewhite. This was recommended by the committee, 2 yeas and 1 abstention. Ordinance 2017-19, amending budget ordinance 2016-10 by appropriating $8,000 for a survey and design of drainage system at 809 Cumberland Hills Drive. This was recommended unanimously. Ordinance 2017-10, amending budget ordinance 2016-1 by appropriating $199,557.54 for supplemental paving projects within the corporate limits of the city of Hendersonville. These were funds that were received from the Hendersonville Utility District, so it was revenue neutral, and this was recommended unanimously. Resolutions 2017-18. Will you answer your phone? Authorizing the transfer of $99,300 from the temporary traffic signal at Stop 30 and New Shackle Island Road project, which has been done by TDOT. The account to the Drakes Creek Stop 30 road widening project account in the general fund. This was also a revenue neutral deal because it was just a transfer, and that was also recommended unanimously. Reviewed finance budget for FY 2018, recommended unanimously. Reviewed central administration budget FY 2018, that was moved forward with no recommendation. Reviewed debt service budget for FY 2018, recommended unanimously. Discussed notification from state regarding June 30th, 2016 city financial report, defined as a minor. There was a correction that had to be done. It was defined as minor by the state in the final report. Update on Country Hills Golf Course, that was postponed because I think there was somebody that was supposed to be there and they weren't present at the meeting to review it. Reviewed budget overage report for March 2017, the revenue report for March 2017, local revenue up by 100.2%, county revenue at 71.8% because we haven't collected all of those funds yet. State revenue 100.5%, total operating revenue 100.2%, general fund revenue at 100.3%. Sales tax revenue pending receipt of information from the state, it was down 1.3% for the month of February, but year to date it's been up by 4.46% on the year to date. Other business was discussed, Old Shackle Island Road, Walton Ferry realignment. Chip has brought us up to date on that date and the redesign and right away. And that's my report, Mayor. And I want to just say as a personal message, I want to thank everybody for their kind messages, cards, visits, and condolences on the passing of my wonderful sister. Thank you.
Chairman Cunningham, thank you. Chairman Strauss.
On behalf of my other aldermen from Ward 2, I'd like to thank everyone who's called Mr. Campbell in the last few seconds just to make sure his ringer's turned off. Quite a few of us have done that. General Committee met tonight. We considered two pieces of legislation, Resolution 2017-20, and we are bringing that to the board without a recommendation, without recommendation. The second is Ordinance 2017-22, dealing with abandoning property, city right-of-way on a road for some property that's in dispute, and the committee recommends that for approval unanimously. In addition, we reviewed the budgets presented from the Codes Executive, IT, Personnel, and Planning Departments. All of those were recommended to the board as presented. And Mayor, if you would indulge me just a moment, being on General Committee or being Chairman of General Committee also places me on the Community Allocations Committee. And I'm not going to give a full report, but we met last week, have reviewed the majority of the request from special agencies and government agencies and ECD agencies. We have, I believe, 4 left that we need some additional information. It was a very productive, very positive meeting, and once we get those final pieces recommended, and we did recommend some adjustments to what was previously in the budget, I will be making a full report to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Brown, Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, we had a resolution 2017-9, a resolution to declare equipment owned by the city to be surplus property and to be disposed of. That is 6 police units that are worn out. They'll be sent over to the fire department so they can use them in learning and practicing extraction in vehicles. Ordinance 2017-21 was an ordinance amending the Hendersonville Municipal Code, Title 7, Chapter 2, Fire Codes. This is codes that will bring us up to where we need to be in some of our subdivisions, homes, and businesses. So we just have to adopt those through ordinances. So we voted on that in 2 weeks. We had a discussion utilizing some funds in the police department budget to build and equip a second interrogation room. We have 1 interrogation room. The chief feels at this time that we need to separate those folks, I guess, that need interrogated once in a while. So we're going to send that. We approve that. We're going to send that up as a resolution to be taken care of here probably in a couple weeks. So that would be it. Thanks, sir.
Chairman Brown, thank you. Chairman Skidmore, Public Works Committee.
Yes, thank you. I do not have an official report tonight, except I do want to ask the board's guidance on a situation. We did pass unanimously on 2018 and 2019 on these ordinances about the drainage systems here. But normally, it's been brought to my attention, as a rule, we have not ever specifically named places we've done it, done the work. So I don't want to mess up, the ordinances tonight. Obviously, I want them passed, but is there a way that you see that, or this board, that we can either amend or just take out the names of?
I'll offer the amendment.
Is that okay? Okay. All right, thank you very much. That's all, and I have no report. Thank you. You've answered my question. Thanks. Thank you very much, Alderman Sprouse. Thank you, Chairman Skidmore.
Yes, sir.
Chairman Campbell.
Capital Projects will have their meeting May 18th. That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Alderman Petrelli, Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. So we met, the Hendersonville Regional Planning Commission met on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2017. The following projects were approved. Meadows of Indian Lake Phase 4 preliminary plat, location on the south side of Raintree Drive. Rogers Group stockpile expansion and asphalt relocation site plan renewal, location west side of Big Station Camp Road. Savannah Phase 8 Section 1 preliminary plat, west side of Cages Bend Road. Glenbrook North add-on automotive service and repair, located at 1027 Glenbrook Way, which is behind the Chick-fil-A. Projects that were deferred: Forest Park development, which is located off of Saundersville Road, and also the Meridian PDP, which is located off of Stop 30 Road at the juncture of Jones Road. Site plans which were approved: Indian Lake West Plaza Phase 4, which is the Papa John's, and the Learning Experience site plan, which is located on the north side of Saundersville Road, was also approved. There was an approved resolution of 2017-3 of Glenbrook Way, which is the Phase 1 street acceptance of approving stamped concrete instead of pavers. And then the July meeting, because of holiday, will be moved to Monday, July 10th, 2017. And I also have a report for the Hendersonville Historic Zoning Commission.
Without any objection, we'll go ahead. You can go ahead and do that now.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, thank you. So the Hendersonville Historic Zoning Commission meeting met on Thursday, May 4th at 6:30 p.m. Discussed were the ongoing efforts to expand Hendersonville's historic landmarks program by the addition of the city-owned Monthaven property and also the state-owned Rock Castle property. Also discussed was the need to update the Commission's multiple forms and guidelines graphically and with current information, and then to make them better available to the public through the Hendersonville Historic Zoning page on the city's website. The main focus of the evening was a training session provided by Jane Coleman Harbison, who is a staff member of the Tennessee Historical Commission. Ms. Harbison's presentation covered the basic concepts, responsibilities, and best practices related to operating on a historic zoning commission. And also, she detailed the advantages of how the Hendersonville Historic Zoning Commission may apply for certified local government status with the Tennessee Historic Commission, as joining with the certified local government program would not only give the Hendersonville Historic Zoning Commission easier access to have support from the Tennessee Historic Commission, but also a weighted preference in the evaluation of state and federal historic grant applications. It was agreed by all that the presentation was excellent and provided an important next step in the growth of the Hendersonville Historic Zoning Commission. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Petrelli, thank you. Alderman Woodcock, the Hendersonville Horizons Committee.
Thank you. The only thing that I would like to add is if you do have names of people you would like to serve on one of the subcommittees, I would highly recommend you get those names to myself or Keith this week. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman Woodcock. Alderman Gilly, the Golf Course Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. The Golf Course Commission had a special called meeting today. They were not last month prepared to approve their budget. They had a couple of questions. That's why it wasn't on the Finance Committee agenda. They met today at 1 o'clock and approved their budget. It'll be coming to Finance Committee in 2 weeks. The management group, the commission recommended to the management group, and the management group agreed to add into their budget, I believe, up to $10,000 for capital improvements. Mr. Starks is correct when he says that we have a building and land out there that the city owns that is 25 years old, and it's going to need capital improvements over the next few years. One of them is a roof, and the mayor has in his current budget proposal under Public Works $10,000 earmarked for the golf course that myself personally, I feel comfortable with them matching that to hopefully maybe we can get a roof done that way. I think that's a fair trade out or a fair match by them. But also they're going to, in their budget packet to finance, they're going to try to have a 3 to 5 year plan, hopefully, where it will show some of the capital improvements that we're going to have to entertain over the next several years. So just point of information, one Finance Committee to know that budget will be coming at your next meeting. Thank you.
Alderman Gilly, thank you. Next on the agenda is item A under ordinances and resolutions. This is second reading of ordinance 2017-15, an ordinance amending budget ordinance 2016-10 by appropriating $20,000 for full Wi-Fi coverage at Drakes Creek. Alderman Gilly?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Alderman Sprouse.
Thank you, Mayor. I mentioned during first reading that there were some apps that you could use on your phone to test bandwidth. And instead of just talking hypothetically, I took opportunity to run such test at the what's known as the Field of Dreams, the soccer complex. It's one of the best soccer complexes any city in Middle Tennessee has. Took opportunity to read that. Just to let you know, the download speed that I was getting, and this is typically from a service that I'm going to consider good to be 2 to 3 meg per second. I'm going to consider very good to be around 4 and 5 meg per second. The test actually came back, if y'all would like to see the screen capture, the results, they actually came back 0.01 megabits per second. That is less than what you would get on a dial-up modem 25 years ago. Upload speeds, which would be things especially important if folks are doing streaming video, trying to work out certain video information from a tournament or an event that's being held at the facility. And the upload speed was 0.12 megabytes per second. We are essentially, that's no service. So just wanted to give you all updates on that, and I'd be very happy to show you the results if you'd like to look at them. Thank you.
Alderman Sprouse, thank you. Alderman Hedberg.
Thank you, Mayor.
I didn't measure the bandwidth like Alderman Sprouse did. Not that, if my husband was with me, he might have been able to show me how to do that, but I didn't. But I did go to the park yesterday, and the Wi-Fi was working. And I had it working for approximately 13 minutes at the park in 2 different locations. I had 3 bars on my cell phone. Now, I don't have the best cell phone provider. I have T-Mobile. Don't have Verizon or Sprint. And T-Mobile is probably one of the worst. I've got it because I've been with them for 17 years, and I got a good deal, and I'm fine with it. But I did manage to get the Wi-Fi, and if I can suspend the rules and ask Mary Beth to come up and maybe give us a little information on that, because I think she's been working on trying to get it to work,
You don't
and I
have to
believe...
suspend the rules for Mary Beth. She can come on up and you can ask her a question.
Yeah.
Here we go. There we go.
Hi, everybody. Yes, as I mentioned before, with the Wi-Fi, we've had Wi-Fi in the parks before. We had 5 units across Drakes Creek, installed about 8-9 years ago. 3 of the devices are still there. We just lost connection to them. In recent weeks, we've restored those connections just to see if those units would work. The DC South near the baseball fields, we do have right now up and running. Brandon saw it a week or 2 ago, and I'm assuming that's the Wi-Fi connection that you connected
Yes.
to. It's called DC South. We have 2 replacement units still in boxes in Brandon's office that we can replace some of the broken units or non-existing units that are missing on the poles. I am going to continue working with what's there, if that
Hold on a
answers your
second.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Am I still on?
You are.
So I have a question. Is there something that we can do temporarily for maybe a lot less than $20,000 to get this working until the foreseeable future, where we do have enough funds to appropriate $20,000? I mean, can we just, I'm just going to throw that out there as a regular citizen. I mean, can we just buy a few routers? I mean, I'm not the IT person, so what can we do if we only had, let's say, $5,000? Is there anything we could do temporarily to make a fix to this?
If the 2 other devices, like I said, there were 5 that were installed throughout the park. I know one of them is working right now. It's broadcasting a signal. We've got it connected to AT&T. Just a couple weeks ago, we got that static IP. That one device is working. The main device on the soccer side, it was called DC North. That one is missing, and that one connected the other one down in soccer. It's a matter of getting it installed and mounted on the pole, tested, making sure, getting it connected to the new IP address. If that broadcasts, the other one should, if it's working, pick it up and broadcast that signal. It's just a matter of getting the time to get out there, get it connected, and get it all going. These, I don't know if you've seen them mounted on the poles. They're like 75 feet up in the air. It's not something that I can just climb a ladder and...
No, I understand, but it's possible that we could do something temporarily less than $20,000.
It would be getting those devices installed and
Okay.
testing it. That would be a good first start.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Mary Beth, can you stick around?
Sure.
Alderman Woodcock.
Thank you. In the General Committee, we reviewed your budget and approved it, and it was, I noticed that originally there was $50,000 for 4 parks, and then those were all removed.
Yes.
This ordinance is trying to add $20,000 back for just Drakes Creek.
Correct.
The other 3 parks, do they need improvement as well?
There's no Wi-Fi in those other 3 parks at all. So what I put in my budget was to redo Drakes Creek with upgraded equipment at the cost of $20,000, and then bring Veterans Park, Volunteer Park at Arrowhead, and Memorial Park. Any park that had sporting events, install Wi-Fi for the first time in those three. And I was quoted 10,000 per park because they're not as big of an area as Drake's Creek.
Okay. I'm going to confuse everyone. I voted against this because I wish it was in the budget versus singled out, but I feel like it's probably going to pass. And if we're going to do it, I'd want to do it right. And 20,000 is not much different than 50,000. So I'd like to make an amendment that we go to 50,000 and fix all 4 parks if we're going to do it.
We've got a motion and a second. Let's deal with this this motion. Alderman Gilly, do you want to speak on this motion? Alderman Stamper, do you want to speak on this motion?
On the amendment or the main motion?
No, on this amendment, excuse me.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Okay. Anybody wish to speak on the amendment? We have a motion and a second to amend this request from 20,000 to 50,000. Is that worded correctly?
To cover 4 parks.
To cover 4 parks. All those in favor of this amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no.
No.
No. We're going to need to do a roll call on that. And Andy, we'll come back to you in just a second.
Brown,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cunningham,
No.
Frost,
Yes.
Hedberg,
No.
Gilly,
Yes.
Petrelli,
Yes.
Skidmore,
Yes.
Sprouse,
Yes.
Stamper,
Yes.
Waters not here. Woodcock,
Yes.
Clary.
No. That passes 8 to 3, 9 to 3. That passes 9 to 3. So now we're back on the main motion. Alderman Gilly, you've been waiting for a second. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Woodcock, for that amendment. The reason why, I'll just go back to the reason why I brought this forward to be taken and appropriated now rather than hope that it would be in next year's budget is exactly what has happened. It got taken out of next year's budget already. So that, I appreciate that very much because I do think it's needed in all the parks. And Mary Beth, I want to thank you for all the work you're already doing. And,
No problem.
And hopefully we'll be able to continue to do to get it right. I had a long list of things. I had information on tax impact fees and all this that the parks brings in, but all I want to do is point to that survey where it said 55% of the people said we needed more internet connectivity in our city. So I hope you'll support this, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Alderman Gilly. Alderman Stamper.
Yeah, thank you. I support the main motion. I don't understand download speeds, upload speeds, and megabits either, but I do know that our people that do know this say this is the amount of money we need to get us in shape. We want to be a first-class city, and $50,000 to make that happen for connectivity. It's a big issue. I know I went to I'll throw in my son in his college days. We have aldermen that talk about their sons in college. I went up there to Facebook Live his music thing, and I just couldn't do it because the connectivity there was pitiful. And so I just recorded it and then uploaded it later. But a lot of these folks, they want to do Facebook Live. They want to do everything live and Skype and all that thing. So I think this is great. I'm glad the alderman made the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Stamper. Alderman Gilly.
Just one more thing real quick. I know the topic of a cell phone tower or cell service tower had been brought up in the park. And Brandon did some homework on that. I know he's coaching his own kid at the park tonight. But if you want to know the report, you can go to him. I'm not going to speak for him. But from what I understand, it's possible to get a cell tower to come in. It's possible for people to pay fees to rent service in there. But the big company that he talked with said it would not include Wi-Fi. So that's coming from Brandon. If you want more information, you can talk to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Gilly. Alderman Hedberg.
I think he just answered my question. I'll talk to Brandon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll make a comment here real quickly. I agree, there does seem to be a connectivity problem there as far as Wi-Fi, there as well as some of our other parks. What I come back to, though, is that for the most part, our phones are able to work in those parks and anywhere in the city. You don't have Wi-Fi, and yes, that means that your opportunities and your possibilities are diminished. There's no doubt about that. But I also looked at $50,000. Well, first I looked at $20,000 and thinking that's a quarter of a mile of road that needs to be paved. I look at $50,000, and that's about 2/3 of a mile of road that we won't be able to pave. Certainly, I feel like fixing our Wi-Fi situation in Drakes Creek Park is a priority, and it was noted on the survey that we just saw. But the state of our roads was a higher priority, and that's what I hear daily from folks. And that's where I am on this. Alderman Campbell.
I was just going to point out that if we want to talk about large cell phone providers coming in and having a tower here, we talked to one, there's several out there, and I would say that somebody in that group would say, hey, sounds like a deal, let's do that. So I'd say keep talking, keep working, and you might be surprised what somebody brings to the table in a contract negotiation on that. Thank you, sir.
We have to do a roll call. We have nobody else wishing to speak on this. Oh, sorry. Mary Beth, go ahead.
One thing I want to just clarify, there's a difference between service and the hardware that this $50,000 is going to put up. We're putting up the hardware for $50,000. The service we're unfortunately held with the service that's in the park. It's not great service, so I don't want people to think that they can, once this is live and there's Wi-Fi in the park, that everybody could stream Facebook Live. That would make everybody just at a standstill. And it would look like we wasted the money, and I don't want that to happen. We have to make sure that we're smart about how it's being used in the park.
Thank you. All those in favor of second reading of ordinance 2017-15 as amended, please signify by saying aye when we call the roll. Go ahead, Kay, please. Or if you're opposed, say no.
Brown?
Aye.
Campbell?
Yes.
Cunningham? No. Frost?
Yes.
Hedberg?
No.
Gilly?
Yes.
Petrelli?
Yes.
Skidmore?
Yes.
Sprouse?
Yes.
Stamper?
Yes.
Woodcock?
No.
Clary?
No. That passes 8-4. Thank you, Mary Beth. Next on our agenda is first reading of ordinance 2017-17. This is an ordinance prohibiting U-turns in the city of Hendersonville, Tennessee. Alderman Hedberg, do you have a motion?
Yes, I have a motion.
Okay, we have a motion, and do we have a second? Again, this is first reading of ordinance 2017-17. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Alderman Hedberg, do you wish to speak?
Sure, my
There
own.
you go.
This is basically just to me, a common sense ordinance. Been here for 4 years. At about 3.5 years, my husband came home and he said, I got pulled over today. I said, for what? I did a U-turn. I said, okay. He said, well, apparently you can't do U-turns in Hendersonville. I said, seriously? Okay, let's get on the website and let's check that. So yes, we went on the website and we checked that out. So I started asking everybody I bumped into, literally, whether I was in the store, whether I was in Mansker Farms, at the pool, I started asking people. And I've asked about 27 people. I only got one that knew that it was illegal to do U-turns in Hendersonville. So I thought, well, at least if it's illegal and it's not actually following state law, then what we need to do is put people on notice and let them know. And that's why I came up after talking to a few people, and especially Chief of Police and Attorney Bradley, of putting signs at the entrance of, well, there's 5 entrances from other places into the city, and letting people know with a sign that says no U-turns. And that's pretty much all I want to do, is just let people know and make them aware of it. I mean, I'm thinking you've got children at Beach High School or T.W. Hunter, and you can't pick your child up today. So you ask your friend who lives in the county to bring them, and halfway down Long Hollow, all of a sudden you're now into Hendersonville, but it doesn't tell you that you can't make a U-turn. So it's common sense to me. I just want people on notice and let them know that they're illegal.
Alderman Hedberg, thank you. Alderman Stamper.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not opposed to increased signage throughout our city. I'm just confused a little bit about the process of doing it via ordinance rather than another venue. I think about Stop Children at Play or the deer crossing, those types of signage. We don't go through ordinances for those types of things, so I'm just curious why, and maybe the city attorney can answer, or you can, Mayor, about why this is being done via ordinance instead of whatever other mechanisms are in place.
I guess my best answer is that's the way, yeah, it's the way she chose to do it, and that's.
There's already an ordinance, I just want to
Hold on.
change the wording of the ordinance, I guess. And maybe you're correct, maybe there is another way.
Well, I'm just thinking of public works, I think, or public safety typically handles traffic that, refers things to the traffic committee when there's an issue. But I'm not opposed to some increased signage. That was my only question. Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else wish to speak on this? Alderman Sprouse.
Thank you. I oppose the ordinance. I think there's a lot of messages we can tell people when they come to Hendersonville. Welcome to Hendersonville is a very good message to tell them. But I don't think the second most important message to tell them is something that you're supposed to know from your driver's test. We have rules about using turn signals, or not rules, we have laws about using turn signals and using child restraint devices, safety devices, and using your seat belt, and even, this may shock some folks, only using the left-hand lane if you're passing. To continue with the theme of talking about children, I have a new driver in my house, and there's been a few times when I've been in the passenger seat, and the response is, well, I didn't know. And I've said to him, well, you're supposed to know. You studied a book, you took a test, you had your license, and it's your responsibility to know these things. I think that it could create an environment where we start coddling folks, that if we don't tell them things that they're supposed to know through signage, that we could create a situation to where people are expecting signs for everything. I think it's frustrating that we have to put up a sign that explains what a crosswalk sign means, that you're supposed to stop, or that we put up a stop sign ahead of a stop sign to show someone that there's a stop sign ahead. I'm one of those people that a speed limit sign's enough information, a crosswalk sign's enough information, and a stop sign's enough information. And I think that if the public safety and engineering professionals who sit on our traffic committee were concerned about this issue and with the signage, then this would have been something that would have been resolved without having to come to this board through an ordinance. Thank you.
Alderman Sprouse, thank you. Alderman Hedberg.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate your comments, Alderman Sprouse. However, myself, coming from a state, Florida, where U-turns are allowed unless there's a sign, and I lived in that state for 14 years. So when you have someone like myself coming from a state where U-turns are allowed, you're moving your children, you're moving yourself, you're uphealing your entire life, and I don't think that the top priority on your list is, maybe I should go on the website and check, am I allowed to do U-turns or not? I've been doing them for 14 years, and I'm going to continue to do them. And I've been doing them, I'm sorry, I just haven't been caught. But I didn't know it. So it's just, to me, like I said, it's a common sense thing. It's not trying to change the law, period. It's just trying to make people and put them on notice. Look, you're in another city now, you're in another state, and you're not allowed to do U-turns here. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hedberg. Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you, Mayor Clary. I'd just like to say I appreciate Alderman Hedberg's concern about the U-turns. I can sympathize that if you do come in from out of city or out of state, maybe you're not familiar with the traffic laws, but when you come into the state of Tennessee, on page 59, it says right here about no U-turns. It says some towns and cities do not allow U-turns on streets and roadways under their control. Check with your local police and jurisdictions to be sure. So with that being said, and also I appreciate what Alderman Sprouse said about excessive signage in our community. I do agree with Alderman Hedgeberg that maybe more education needs to be done, and that would be on a state level, requiring people who come in from out of town to be required to take our driver's license exam so that they are forced to be familiar with our rules and regulations. So that's where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Petrelli. Do we have anybody else wishing to speak on this? Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm thinking that similar to what the alderman from Ward 6 said about maybe this should be deferred back to our Public Works and our traffic study people just for the signage purposes and not be in the form of an ordinance. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Do we have anybody else wishing to speak on this? Yeah, we'll call the roll, please. If you're in favor of first reading of ordinance 2017-17, please signify by saying aye. If you're opposed, signify by saying no. Okay?
Brown.
No.
Campbell.
No.
Cunningham.
Abstain.
Frost.
No.
Hedberg.
Yes.
Gilly.
No.
Petrelli.
No.
Skidmore.
No.
Sprouse.
No.
Stamper.
Yes.
Woodcock.
No.
Clary.
No. That fails by a vote of 10 to 2. Next on the agenda is first reading of ordinance 2017-18. This is an ordinance to amend our budget ordinance of 2016-10 by appropriating $25,000 to update and rebuild the drainage system at 113 Hepwood. Alderman Skidmore?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Alderman Skidmore, Alderman Sprouse, did you have an amendment to this?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make an amendment, and it's actually going to affect the next ordinances on the agenda as well. If you notice that the next item on the agenda is related also to drainage system, and it's an $8,000 appropriation, I would like to amend item C, ordinance to 2017-18, to instead of having it be $25,000, it'd be $33,000, the totals of the two amounts, and it'd be appropriated for projects related to updating, rebuilding, designing drainage systems. The benefit for this is if there's any money left over, it's going to be able to be used for other projects.
Okay. We have a motion to amend this. We have a second. Alderman Cunningham?
Okay, I'd like to comment on the amendment.
Go ahead.
So are we going to do away with ordinance 2017-19?
Yes, ma'am.
And combine it with?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do we have anybody else wishing to speak on the amendment? All those in favor of amending the item to $33,000 and removing the address?
And also making sure it says for survey and design. That's in the
Including
second
survey and
ordinance.
design. Hold on, Alderman Woodcock, go ahead.
I just want to make sure this is what I'm thinking. This is a urgent safety need, correct? There's a failing system that needs to be replaced as soon as possible, right?
You live in those spots, it's urgent.
If I may respond, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead, Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, if you saw what the Public Works Committee and my distinguished colleagues from Ward 4 have seen in the past on this particular, on both, and my colleagues from Ward 6 have seen on these particular sites, it is indeed imperative, especially the 33,000 one. It's very, very much so. Because it's affecting not only one residence, but it's affecting the whole grid. I guess that's what we would call it in that area.
Gotcha.
So it is, yes.
You got it? Okay, thank you, Alderman Skidmore. Thank you, Chairman Skidmore. Thank you, Alderman Woodcock. Alderman Campbell.
Yes, I just want to point out the $8,000 one there, that was for a topographical survey so we could get the drop on the land, just so we can tell if the drain would work. Because what happens is the drain's coming right out of one neighborhood, pipes in the guy's yard, and it's just dropping all this water in his front yard. It's destroyed his septic system and a few other things, and he's got to spend a
Exactly.
lot of money to fix it. So we got to figure out which way we need to put the water to get it out of there. So, answer your question.
Thank you, Alderman Campbell. Alderman Stamper.
Are we discussing the main motion or
We're still on the amendment.
So these comments
very
don't
good
sound
point.
like they're referring to the amendment.
Point taken. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Answer the question.
Ask the question.
Does anybody else have a comment on the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment to change the figure from 25,000 to 33,000 to wipe out the address and to add for surveying and
Design.
design?
That's correct.
Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. No. That passes by a vote of 11 to 1. Okay. We're back on the main motion.
Mayor, if I might, I would like to know who the no was.
That was me.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
You're fine. You're fine.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Chairman Skidmore, do you want to talk on the main motion? Or we
I
good?
would just ask, I appreciate the board's indulgence and move to approve, and let's roll.
Okay. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record by making this statement. We have a $2 million fire hall that we have to replace. This is an item that at least I would like to wait until we get in the budget process, with our workshop is in 2 nights. When I look at something like this, it means that we have to hold off on some other priorities, which I think are probably higher than these 2 items. These 2 are important, there's no doubt about it. We have some higher items, and you're going to hear me say that again and again over the next month or so, I assure you. Nobody else is wishing to speak? All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2017-18 as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are those opposed, please say no. No. That passes 11 to 2.
And Mayor, I'd
Sorry,
like
11
to
to
pull
1.
Mayor, I'd like to pull item D.
Now, Alderman Skidmore would like to table item D?
Just pull it.
Just pull it?
Done. Because it'll never come back.
We have a motion to delete item D.
Second.
Sorry.
And we have a second.
Pulling's the same
Moved
thing.
it. See, anyways, it was merged.
Yeah.
Correct terminology, is that it?
I see.
We can delete it.
We're just voting
We can
down.
delete it from, okay. We have a motion, and a second on item D to delete this. Is any discussion on that? All those in favor of deleting item D, please signify by saying aye. Aye. If you're opposed, say no. That one passed unanimously. Now we are at item E. This is first reading of ordinance 2017-20. This is an ordinance amending our budget ordinance 2016-10 by appropriating $199,557.54 for supplemental paving projects within corporate limits of City of Hendersonville. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, thank you, sir. I so move.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2017-20, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, that passes unanimously. Next, we have reading of resolution 2017-18. This is a resolution authorizing the transfer of $99,300 from the temporary traffic signal at Stop 30 and New Shackle Island Road to that account to the Drakes Creek Stop 30 Road widening project account in the general fund. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Alderman Skidmore, would you like to speak on this?
Well, I get, oh, no.
I think it's
Self-explanatory.
Okay.
Don't speak.
Alderman Stanford.
Who just elbowed you?
Yeah, I
From the
just
left or the
wanted,
right?
Hold on. Alderman Stanford.
thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, on behalf of the representatives of Ward 6, thank you for keeping these dollars in Ward 6. I think it's well needed. We've got a great signal over there at New Shackle and Stop 30, and we have some work to do on the other side of Stop 30, and I appreciate it and ask the board to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The temporary signal is up there. Chip, can you come up here real quick for us, please?
He did all the programming on it.
Go ahead. Can you tell us a little bit about that temporary signal?
So everyone knows, you've seen the temporary signal on Flash. We're having it planned on coming active on Thursday. That way if something happens, we can fix it Friday. So please be aware that signal will be stopping you starting Thursday. Thank you.
Chip, thank you for your work and your staff, their work on that. All those in favor of reading of resolution 2017-18, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. We have a motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Hang out a while longer. Go ahead.